Hey, welcome back to Mike's Diabetes World. Okay, today's numbers are looking good. I'm fully charged, so that means these are up to date. I'm showing at 7.3, and I just had a bit of correction here, which was 0.5 of the unit. So I am a little bit higher this morning than I have been. Ooh, who knows why? There's so many variables. So, I hate this sometimes. Okay, 86%. This is a win. As I said before, it's greater than 70%. So we're doing well. 14% is above 10%. We need to work on a bit. 86% in range, which is awesome. There's nothing below 3.9. However, I had a low. I'll talk about that a little bit later. 7.8 is the average blood sugar, which is down. So this is a pretty good day. It's not the 100% day, but it's a number I can live and work with. Now, I said I was low. However, for me, a low is anything below 6. That is not for everyone. The reason being is once I reach 6, fuzz. Okay. There you go. Once I reach 6, I can drop quickly. So, speaking of that, today's topic is I'm sick. And I'm out of control. Just a little side part, I'm not sick. It's just our topic for today. Okay, stay tuned. We'll be there. This channel is provided for informational purposes only. Contact your physician for any diagnostic or treatment plan. Okay, I don't know about you, but if I get sick or have an infection, something as simple as a cold can send my blood sugars through the roof. And if you're not able to get it under control, things just keep getting worse and worse, and sometimes you end up in the hospital with DKA. And DKA stands for diabetic ketoacidosis. It's not a good thing. So if I'm starting to feel like I'm sick, gastro, head cold, if I find I'm fighting an infection, I start by monitoring my blood sugar. And that is where continuous meters play an effect. Before, it was doing blood sugars every 2 hours and pricking myself. Now with this, I can see trends. There's no trends right there, so take a look here. At about 2300, I down to 4.7 and then came back up. So, but I have been known to go way out of whack. when my intestinal issues get really bad, I can go way above 33.3. And I can tell you, you feel like crap. So, what do? Well, you're a little bit more vigilant on your blood sugars. And this, unfortunately, if I'm not clear, could have some people into stacking the insulin. You don't want to do this. You can take a look every 2 hours, or you can take a look as often as you want, but you only treat at the bare minimum every 2 hours. It'd be better to go to 3 hours, in fact. That way, insulin, you're not stacking, and then all of a sudden you're crashing, and I don't know why I'm crashing. Now, ideally, you want to ride it out. You may have blood sugars up higher than normal, so you may, for a week or so, run around 8 to 10 if you're normally down around 6. Your body is fighting, you're covering your insulin, that's fine. Problem comes out when your blood sugars go over 14. You want to start testing for ketones. Now, for years, ketones were only tested in urine. It wasn't particular. You had to get up, you had to void, and you had to void twice. And when you're not feeling well, oh God, that's terrible. Now there are ketone meters. In BC, I don't know about the rest of the provinces, but in BC, the machines and the strips are not covered. You have to pay for the machine and the strips. But they are worth having, and every so often testing your blood blood ketone level. Waking up. Ketones are when your body breaks down fat. It is the byproduct. They are acidic, which makes your whole blood very acidic. And your body's going to try to get rid of the sugar so it can cope. That is why, for ketoacidosis, you're going to be vomiting, you're going to be feeling unwell. All you want to do is sleep. Plus, just general, you feel like crap. It's surprising if you're able to get your blood sugars down from being up. Just your illness feels a hell of a lot better than the DKA. DKA requires an emergency room visit. Years ago, my diabetic nurse at the time said, if you start vomiting and you're showing ketones, it's time to go to the hospital. But why does your blood sugar start to go out of control? For example, for me, my blood sugar was going 33.3 above, greater than 33.3. So why? Why is it doing this? Well, pure and simple, it's doing this because any illness is alert on your body's trying to fight itself. Not fight itself, fight the infection, whether it be the cold, flu, cellulitis. And it releases all your stored glucose. So when you eat, the sugar you eat, some of it is stored in your liver as, what is it called? I just went blank. But it's stored in your liver. Glucose is stored in your liver. I believe it's called glucagon. And that's released when you're under stress. So it's part of the fight to flight reflexes. Sorry, my mind just went blank on the name of the substance. But be aware of that's what's happening. So yes, while you're ill, you're going to have to watch your blood sugars, and every 3 hours treat. You're going to need more insulin for the sugar if you're starting to show ketones. And ketones, anything under 3 point is mild, and you treat the ketone with more insulin. Speak to your doctor on how much insulin you're going to need. I believe, and I am not a doctor, so you need to check it out with your doctor, but I believe 1 to 2% increase may be for you. For me, it's 3 to 4, but talk to your doctor. Because remember, I have told you all along is to have a sick plan. Have a set of rules that you can follow so you can follow and understand why your body is doing something. If you're showing ketones and you're vomiting, chances are you're in DKA. If you're greater than 3 on the ketone meter and you're vomiting, you may need to go visit your friends at your local hospital. Now, this may sound like a really stupid idea, is know your hospital. Know where you're going to get the best care. For example, for me, for many years, if I was out of kilter, if I was in DKA, I would always head to Royal Columbian because my endos there know me, like all the endos know me, and they've treated me many times. Now I'm out in the valley a bit more. It's going to be sounding like there'll be more Abbotsford. The last time I got sick, I had been sick for a while, and we kept playing the game of giving more insulin, and my body finally said no, and it switched over into DKA. I was doing urine ketone testing because I hadn't got a ketone meter, and I ended up going into DKA. So I went to our closest hospital here, being Mission, and they can get you stabilized, but they can't sit and observe you. I was transferred over to Abbotsford, Sorry, I keep wanting to say Surrey because the hospital across the river where I used to live was Surrey. Now this is Abbotsford. Across the Fraser is Abbotsford here. And I was put in an ICU. I have never been put in an ICU for DKA. But I was treated about 4 or 5 days in that environment, was transferred, and transferred to high acuity, and then had to come back, stay time in our hospital before coming back here. We all have horror stories of being sick and what our blood sugars do. It's important that you try to keep your blood sugars at a reasonable rate. Now, I said if you run about a 6, don't be surprised if they're up from 8 to 10. If you're able to keep that, that's still within reason. But if you start getting up to 13 and then 14 and your blood sugars aren't coming down, your first line of defense is to call either your diabetic nurse or your diabetic clinic, your endocrinologist, and tell them you're not feeling well and let them know what's going on. If you start vomiting and doing blood tests and showing ketones, it's time to go to the hospital. But try to get in contact with your doctor first. He or she may give you advice that you can treat it at home. And everyone would rather, if you're going to be sick, would rather be sick at home instead of going to the hospital. But if you have no choice and you've exhausted all the resources you have and your blood sugars are still high and not coming down, you want to get your blood sugars down so your body can fight off the DKA and you can start feeling a lot better. It's sort of like once the DKA is settled, then you have a good chance of just moving on. I've had horror stories of my DKAs, and I don't want to get to that point. One thing I've noticed as a young 20-year-old, young teenager, or teenager, early 20s, is when I got sick. As soon as I went into DKA, I could snap back really quickly. Now, they can bring me out of DKA, and very easily, I can slip back into DKA. I've seen it in 2021 and my last time in the hospital. So, if you're sick, keep monitoring your blood sugars. If they start going close to 14, test for ketones. If you just have a higher blood sugar and you can't bring it down, you can contact your GP. But you still should contact your GP, your endocrinologist, or your diabetic nurse to let someone know what's going on. Don't let them be blindsided. Been there, done that. Don't stack your insulin. Treat with insulin at the minimum. I said 2 hours before, but 3 hours the minimum. Don't have so much insulin going in your system. What's nice is with my pump, This can monitor me, tell me what's going on. If I start showing more insulin, that I need more insulin, I can deliver, but it'll also stop me from stacking up too many doses. It'll also stop from giving too much, like, I think it's more than 25 grams of carbs at a time. One of the biggest concerns is if you're sick and you really start to feel better, this will help you cut back your insulin to a point where you can start managing it. But on needles, it's a little bit more tricky, but you should be part of your game plan. Be ready, be able to combat. You don't want to go into DK. Anything you can do with your doctor's approval on your plan to help you stop going into DK. But that, you may feel like it's the end, but it's not. Have a great day, and I'll just talk later. Bye now. My email is mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com. mikesdiabetesworld@gmail.com.